Hello everybody, welcome. It is the 18th of June. I'm just getting ready to do some throwing of some small pictures. But before I do that, I'm going to have a sip of tea. This is a special brew I've concocted. It's not, as you see, it's nice and green. It contains matcha, organic moringa, and organic ground ginger. It's quite a stimulating drink, let me tell you. No sweetener. Yeah. Tastes very green. You know what I mean? So what I'm going to do right now is I wanted to just show you briefly these pictures. These are some pictures, jugs, pictures that I had saved out of recent firings, ones that I liked, and all. Not all, actually. No, this one wasn't out of the small kiln. That one was out of the other kiln. This was out of the small kiln, this one. Because I wanted to make I've got some lumps weighed up there to make some more of these. So I was just sort of referring to these jugs because these are ones that I liked, and I thought I wanted to sort of do a repeat somewhat of those. So just to kind of get the idea of the form. This particular one, as you can see, is a little bit more pointed in the belly, perhaps. It's kind of cute though, isn't it? Has a sort of dumpy feel, but it's got character, isn't it? I like this sort of. It's got an impressed with my index finger knuckle around the base there, whereas these have got an impression with my finger, my thumb I should say, pushing in like that. You have to catch it while it's still a bit soft on the base in order to do that. Alright, so with that said, with that out of the way, let's bring that camera in a touch. My gosh, we've had so much rain, it's so humid here at the minute. We'll just start there like that. Yeah, and the sun has come out this afternoon and it's really made it steamy. Pennsylvania steamy. Oh, I feel like I've been cooking in a kitchen, you know, and it's full of heat. So these lumps are £1 actually. I can't honestly remember if I made these from £1 or from 14 ounces. It doesn't matter too much. Anyway, let's do it. In fact, that glaze that I just showed you on those pictures, I've made a modification to a smaller bucket of the same. I've added a little bit of cobalt to it, cobalt oxide, which is kind of quite nice actually. So So lifting upwards and inwards. Remember that. Don't just lift upwards. You've got to bring it in as you lift. If you do that, you'll find you'll get you'll keep better control of the clay. And you see what that lift there, you don't go over the top. Don't go over the top. Well, that's a little over the top, Simon. Right lads, fix bayonets! Over the top! I hope my head's not in the way. So lifting and shaping just a bit there, but back in again now at the top. Actually, I think I'm going to move the camera a bit more in that direction because I think my hat could get a bit in the way. I don't know. Right. So apply the water. Get the water exactly where it's vital. You get your water sorted out. I mean your watering technique. I mean. Okay, so I've got a bit of height there I've gained, and giving it a little bit of belly there, and now bring it, collar it in at the top. Checking in my mirror. If you haven't used a mirror yet, please do yourself a favour and start using a mirror. You will find it's the best thing since sliced bread. Maybe you don't eat sliced bread. So I'm putting a little bit of a collar here at the top. Dee 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 dee. That there, right, okay. Checking in my rear view mirror. Let's have a look in the rear view mirror, shall we? Let's have a look in the rear view mirror. Let's have a look in the rear view mirror. Now, isn't that a beautiful sight? That's what I see. You see, here am I'm sort of like on top of the pot. So if I don't have a mirror, I find it difficult to see properly. But if I just cast my eyes over there, you see what I mean? It's giving me a perfect sideways angle profile. That is vitally important. So get yourself a mirror. Alright. When I worked at the pottery with my dad, we never used to use mirrors. I don't know why not. Oh, I don't know how I came across the mirror idea. Somebody probably picked it up from somebody. None of us is original, are we? We'll always beg, borrow, or steal ideas from everybody else. Or get an inspiration. We won't call it stealing. That's a little bit heavy duty, isn't it? Call it stealing. But I mean, you know, we get an inspiration from something that we've, or from somebody else. We kind of, we like it and we borrow it, don't we? Borrow the idea. All right. So just using the side of my throwing stick, and that's what, just there, because if you can get your pot nice and, just wondering whether I should make it a little narrower in the top. Now I'm going to leave it this one. I'll make this one as is. Alright, I've got a little lump of clay here, which I'm going to use to just set up a gauge, just a kind of an approximate gauge, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to have it too too close, just sort of like that, just as a rough guide. Okie dokie. What haven't I done that I should have done? That's right. Don't forget. Leather the rims of your pot. It compresses the clay on the rim when you use a leather, and that's important because it strengthens the lip. And the lip is the most vulnerable part of a pot. Alright? Twisted cut-off wire, the right length. Let's just cut him off with the wheel moving slowly, like that. Clean hands. Right, now, okay, let's just zoom this in a touch, and then what I'm going to do is do the pouring lip. I've probably done that with you before, but we'll do it now. Now actually, ideally what I would do is I'd put these down on the board and come back a little later. Just leave them an hour or so just to stiffen, and then I'd do the pouring lip. But because we're here and we're gonna do it right now, you know. So you want to put your hand like that, your fingers like that. You make an arc there like that. Put that there. Dip your index finger of your other hand and just gently now, left to right like this. No pulling yet. First of all, you've got to extend the clay left to right. You've got to stretch it. Once he begins to be stretched, you can then do what I'm doing now, that. And that'll give you that. Alright, now be careful you don't spin him around and hit the gauge. Let's just take one of these just to put beside it. Okay. Right. Right, now let's lift him off. So before you lift him off, just rotate him around in the right position so when you lift him you can put him on the board. I like to have all the pouring spouts facing the same direction because I'm quirky. Okay, clean hands and like that, and then just he'll come straight off. No sweat. No sweat, baby. No sweat. Okay, there we go. No sweat, baby. Let's have a look at that one quickly. It's always good to have a look, isn't it? Alright. He looks okay, doesn't he? And that's the first one I made. Now, you see, probably the next one I'll make will be... let's pull back the camera just a tiny bit, like that. So, get your hands wet, but not just your hands. Bring the water onto the clay. Okay, this is an exercise. You've got to get the clay wet, not just your hands. Okay, squeeze it, cone it up. Like that. Now mind the gauge, you don't clout it. Center down. Get that clay nicely centered. Remember we did a video on this just the other day. On centering. It's kind of basic. You've got to get your lump of clay properly centered, and you've got to keep it centered. You don't want to knock it off in the process of making your pot. You don't want to lose that center. Okay, just open out, back to the center. So some people ask me about, oh Simon, you don't seem to compress the base. Well, I do compress the base. It's just that it's just sort of incorporated in my movements. I don't make a big deal of it, you see. It happens. Okay, bring the clay in. Now let's start lifting up the cone. Lifting up the volcano, you see? See that little volcano there? That's where the lava comes out there. Okay, create a lifting point and pull up the pot fairly smartish. Don't be slow about your lifting, your pulling. A lot of people are much too slow about it and they run out of water. Okay, fingers over like that, put the water there. So it runs down both fingers. Now these fingers have got to be touching the pot when you do that. Okay, otherwise it's... Bring it up. Alright, bring it on up. Looking for the gauge up to... He hasn't quite got any form yet, has he? He's not got a proper picture-like look quite yet. But now, with this lift, I'm going to form it and lift it and bring it up to the gauge. Hopefully. Okay. Okay, there. See the belly there. Now, and now bring it on up. Careful not to touch the gauge. See, some people they want a gauge that is going to be kind to them, you know. If they ram the pot into the gauge, then they're not going to cry, you know. You've got to cry. If you hit the gauge, you've got to cry. All right? We need pain. It's got to be painful, otherwise you're going to ram it into the... You're going to go hitting it into the gauge every time, aren't you? You've got to make it so it like half destroys your pot, and then you'll think, oh my goodness me, I've got to be careful of that gauge. Yeah, respect the gauge. Respect the gauge. Absolutely. Alright, hang on, I've got to concentrate here. I've got to... Just looking at the form here, the shape. That's why I need my mirror. Without my mirror, where would I be? Without my mirror to guide me. Okay, now there's the collar at the top. Like that. Alright. It's just a little bit wasted here below the top there. So the collar is a visual thing, but it's also a place where the handle grows out from, and it's a strengthening collar right at the very top of the pot. It keeps it from going out of shape. You see. Just thinking I need to get a little bit wider in the belly there. He's telling me. See, that's what the mirror does for you. It tells you, it gives you information. It gives you information, it tells you, gives you a lot of information. Alright, throwing stick down at the base here, clean away the clay like that. Put in a bevel. Put the clay back in your water pot, okay? Collect your waste clay, put it back into your water pot. Alright, I think that's okay. Right, and this lever to compress and smooth and round the top and strengthen the lip. Like that, sponge. Like that. Just use your throwing stick just to take away any excess wetness on the pot. Now using my cut-off wire with the wheel going slowly through like that. Clean hands. Alright, let's do this. Let's do this tea drinking business. There he is, let's have a look. So the belly is just a little lower than the halfway point. You know, it's not right smack in the midway. It's just a fraction below. I don't know if you can see that on that one there. You see, on that one, the belly is just a bit lower. That's on purpose. You see. All right, let's do that. Oh, I was going to do the pouring lip, wasn't I? I wanted you to see that actually. So bring it in a bit more again. Okay, so here we go. The letter C, or an arch. Put those fingers there like that. Take your wetted finger and just go left and right like that, you see? Can you see that? Like that, and then just a little bit left and right like this. Just to stretch out that clay to start with. And then just start to stroke it up and down like that. There he is. There he is. Now the thing about when you do a pouring lip like this, you're going to form the lip now while the clay is soft. But when you're going to need to come back to it in a little while, all right, and reform that, because what will happen is, because of the memory that the clay has, it will want to go back to being round. So it'll try to go back to being round, and in the process it'll lose the definition of that nice pouring lip, you see. So you want to come back when it's sort of, you know, in an hour or two, say, approximately, come back and re-emphasize the form, and then it'll be frozen then in time. It won't move again after that. Okay, just that's a good tip. Okay, so clean hands, nice good contact area. Lift him off. Put him over here next to his brother. Next to his brother. There he is. There he is. There he is. See, now that one, just to mention for interest, because, you know, that one, not quite such a belly, is he? He's a little more slender, that one. But that's okay. Yes, if we want to be really strict and particular. Now, if I was doing, say, tankers or something like that, I would be a little bit more particular. But pictures are more used in a more of a one-off way rather than a tankard, which is used maybe in a group situation, if you understand me. But so that's good. All right. Maybe we'll draw that clip to a close there. Thanks for joining us, folks. I'm taking orders for these Leach treadle wheels. I will have 2 available. Of the 5, I have 3. This is a bit of a dirty one, but I have 3 already accounted for. But if anybody else, as I've said in the past, the latest ones are a little bit nicer looking. They've got aluminium wheel heads, they've got walnut capping across the top here, and they have a maple wood frame. This has got a red oak frame. Very nice piece of equipment, lasts you the rest of your potting life. You'll never have to buy a wheel again. Probably good for about 100 years. No kidding, I'm not kidding. Alright, I'm going to carry on here and do a few more. Go to my website, simonleachpottery.com. come and join us for a workshop. What I'm trying to do is a slightly different routine where I'm making pots, I'm raw glazing them, once firing them in my little small kiln. I get a little bit of a quicker turnover, plus it gives me a little bit more opportunity to do some glaze testing, which I want to do. Like I told you earlier on in the video, that this same glaze, I've added some cobalt to it, some of it. I separated it out in another bucket, and I'm playing around with that. Basically, this glaze is very simple. It's red clay and wood ashes. Wood ashes out of my firebox here. So it's a pretty basic glaze, but it works very well as a raw glaze, directly on top of leather hard, as opposed to bone dry, leather hard pots that you've made. So, okay, yes, check out website for dates. We have dates coming up, plenty of opportunities there. Keep practicing. I'll see you around town.